Pooh Shiesty's daddy been a rat since '09 and his son a mice since 2022. Pooh Shiesty walked out of federal prison in October 2025. New music, new money, a whole new life. And then months later, the FBI kicked the door in and arrested him and his dad, and what came out in those court papers about what his dad said is about to change everything. The meeting that was never really a meeting. Alright, let's rewind the tape, because before you can even begin to process what is happening right now, before you can understand why the internet is on fire, before you can make sense of how Pooh Shiesty, a man who had literally everything working in his favor, ended up back in federal custody with his own father sitting in a cell block right beside him. You have to understand one thing first. This was not some spontaneous heat of the moment situation. This was not a beef that spilled over into something ugly one night because somebody said the wrong thing at the wrong time. This was allegedly planned, thought out, coordinated, rehearsed. 9 people, multiple cities, one target, and a meeting that was never, not for a single second, meant to be a real meeting. Let's go back to January 10th, 2026. That's the date this whole story really begins. 3 music industry professionals flew into Dallas that afternoon. They bought their tickets. They packed their bags. They got on a plane to Texas, the way any professional does when there's business to handle out of town. Because as far as they knew, that's exactly what this was. A scheduled sit-down with a rapper who wanted to talk contract terms, normal, legitimate, the kind of thing that happens in the music industry 1,000 times a week. One of those 3 men was identified in the federal complaint only by his initials. Road court documents and reporting confirmed those initials belonged to Raddick Dantic Davis, better known across the entire planet as Gucci Mane, the man who built 1,017 records from nothing into one of the most recognizable labels in Southern hip-hop. The man who looked at a young rapper from Memphis and decided he was worth betting on. The man who signed Pushiest when Pooh was barely 20 years old and gave him a platform to become a star. That young rapper, the artist he believed in, was the one who arranged the meeting. Pushiest had been signed to 1,017 records since around 2021. He had hit records. He had real fan loyalty. He had a name that meant something in this culture. And by the time he got out of prison in October of 2025, there was still a lane open for him. The world was still watching. People still wanted to see what Pushy was going to do with his second chance. But he wasn't happy with his contract terms. He wanted out. And whatever that dispute was over, however it had been building, it reportedly turned into something that federal prosecutors say became one of the most brazen and precisely organized armed robberies in recent hip-hop history. The 3 victims arrived at a studio off Dallas Parkway that afternoon. When they got there, the place was still closed, so they did what you do when you're early. They went and bought some liquor, came back, settled in, relaxed. They were businessmen in Dallas for a business meeting. They had absolutely no reason to be suspicious. They had absolutely no idea that by 3:43 that afternoon, their entire world would be turned completely upside down. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this was disguised as a traditional business meeting inside a recording studio, but then it turned into an ambush. An ambush, that's the exact word. Because while Gucci Mane and his associates were sitting inside a studio thinking they were about to have a professional conversation, 9 people were converging on that building with a plan already locked in. Some of them had traveled all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. They had driven hours to be there. They had coordinated their movements across multiple cities. They weren't improvising anything. This was organized, and the man leading it was Pushiest Lantrell Williams Jr., who U.S. prosecutors named as the ringleader of the entire conspiracy. The man who set up the meeting, the man who built the trap, the man who, according to the federal complaint, had been frustrated with his contract and decided the way to resolve it was with an AK-style pistol and 8 other armed co-conspirators inside a Dallas recording studio. But here is the detail that makes this even harder to wrap your head around. The setup didn't just involve Pooh. It allegedly involved his own father, Lantrell Williams Sr., known in rap circles as Mob Boss, is accused of helping plan and execute this kidnapping from the very beginning. He was allegedly on the phone with the studio owner multiple times earlier that day, helping to book and confirm the session. Not as a worried parent trying to pump the brakes on his son, as an active participant, a co-conspirator. Surveillance cameras captured him outside the building, then walking inside at 3:28 p.m. This week, 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. 9 individuals. That is not a coincidence. That is not people happening to be in the same place at the same time. That is a crew. That is a coordinated operation. That took planning. That took logistics. That took somebody making a deliberate decision that a violent armed takeover of a music studio was the correct way to settle a contract disagreement. Once inside, the victims were separated immediately. Gucci Mane was taken into the recording room. With him were 3 people. Pooh, his father, and Big 30 Rodney Wright Jr. The other 2 victims, identified in the complaint as MM and BP, were held in the control room by the rest of the crew. And then, according to the 32-page federal criminal complaint, Pooh Shiesty pulled contract termination paperwork out of a bag and told Gucci Mane to sign it. Gucci Mane said no. He looked at the papers. He pushed back. He argued. And the moment he refused, everything that followed became impossible to walk back. As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol. Not a small gun, not something discreet. An AK-style pistol pointed at Gucci Mane's head, and Pooh told him to sign the papers again and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint. Gucci signed. What other option did he have? A gun was in his face. 8 other armed men were in the building. His people were being held in the next room. He signed the papers under duress. And then Pushiest handed that contract directly to his own father to review. His dad looked it over and pointed out that the paper still needed to be dated. So Pooh forced Gucci to add the date too. Big 30 then pulled out his phone and recorded Gucci Mane verbally stating out loud that he was releasing Pooh Shiesty from the contract on video at gunpoint, documented, so there would be something on camera to show for it. This was not impulsive. This was a procedure, a multi-step operation with specific roles assigned to specific people. Who held the gun? His father reviewed the documents. Big 30 recorded the verbal statement, and the rest of the crew was in the control room simultaneously handling the other 2 victims. The feds say the group robbed the victims of expensive jewelry and cash. Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, a Louis Vuitton bag containing more watches, AirPods, wallets with Apple AirTags inside, a 1017 chain, earrings, even Gucci Mane's wedding ring. According to someone with alleged inside knowledge who spoke about it on a live stream, they literally unscrewed the earrings out of Gucci's ears themselves. That is how far into this they went. One of the victims was actually choked by one of the defendants to the point of near unconsciousness. One of the victims in the control room was choked until he nearly blacked out. The federal complaint includes photographs of his injuries. Scratches across the neck, marks on the wrist, real physical evidence of real physical violence that happened inside that studio. Big 30 barricaded the studio door with his own body to stop anyone from running. Nobody was going anywhere until Pooh Shiesty decided the job was done. At one point, Pooh allegedly pressed a firearm directly to another victim's head while directing them toward a specific exit. Victims later told investigators they genuinely believed they were going to be executed inside that room. Not roughed up and let go. Executed. The armed takeover lasted until approximately 4:50 p.m. Then the group fled, and within hours the same evening, some of the defendants were already on social media showing off what appeared to be the stolen jewelry and watches, flaunting it like they had gotten away clean, like nobody in a federal agency was going to come looking. They were very wrong about that. And in part 2, you are going to see exactly why. Starting with the one piece of evidence that nobody in their right mind could have predicted would end up in a DOJ press release. The ankle monitor that told on everything. There's a version of this story where maybe, just maybe, you could argue that some things were unclear, that the evidence was circumstantial, that a sharp defense lawyer could find angles to work with, that the case had some gaps in it somewhere. This is not that version of the story, because Pushiest on January 10, 2026, the same afternoon he allegedly organized a 9-man armed takeover of a Dallas recording studio and forced Gucci Mane to sign contract papers at gunpoint. Was wearing a GPS ankle monitor. One that the federal government had put on his ankle as a condition of his supervised release from his prior conviction. One that tracked his movements. One that logged his exact location data around the clock. One that was sending that data to federal authorities in real time. He went to rob somebody with a federal tracking device strapped to his ankle. When Shiesty was released from federal prison in October 2025 after serving roughly 3 years of a 63-month sentence, he wasn't walking out as a completely free man. He transitioned directly into supervised release, which in his case included home confinement in Dallas, Texas. Part of those conditions were clear, specific, and non-negotiable. Do not commit another federal offense. Do not possess a firearm. 2 rules. Follow 2 rules. That is all it would have taken to avoid going back to prison. He allegedly broke both of them at the same time in the same room with an ankle monitor strapped to his leg broadcasting his coordinates. The ringleader of the conspiracy, Lantrell Williams Jr., was on home confinement at the time of the offense. Home confinement at the time of the offense. The United States Attorney for the Northern District of Texas stood in front of cameras at a press conference and said those words out loud to the entire country. As alleged for a prior firearms conspiracy charge and conviction out of the Southern District of Florida. He had already been to federal prison once before. He already knew what years of his life disappearing felt like. He already knew how thoroughly the government builds cases and how completely they collapse careers. And yet here we are. When the DOJ unsealed the criminal complaint and prosecutors listed the evidence at the press conference, the very first item on that list was something so stunning that when it got read aloud on camera, the entire internet stopped scrolling. Electronic monitoring data placing Williams Jr. his ankle monitor data at the offense location, which would put him in violation of his home detention conditions. The device the federal government strapped to his body to track his every move as a condition of his freedom placed him at the exact address of that Dallas studio. At the exact time the arm takeover was going down. He did not need anyone to snitch on him. He did not need someone to flip or cooperate or give up his name. His own ankle monitor walked into that crime scene with him and reported back to federal authorities the whole time when the academics clip of the U.S. Attorney reading that evidence list out loud started circulating everywhere. Electronic monitoring data placing Williams Jr. at the offense location. The reaction said everything. Oh my God. They basically said the ankle monitor on at the robbery. He had the ankle monitor on at the robbery. Sit with that sentence for a moment because this is a man who served federal prison time, who sat in those facilities surrounded by people who had gone down on far less evidence, who had experienced firsthand what it meant to be prosecuted by the federal government. And his response to all of that knowledge was to allegedly walk into a kidnapping and robbery while the government's own GPS tracker was live on his ankle. But the ankle monitor was only the first piece of evidence. And the list did not stop there. Not even close. Cell phone records and license plate reader data confirmed the coordinated travel of multiple defendants from Memphis, Tennessee, all the way to Dallas, Texas, where their phones were when they moved, what route they took, every tower ping, every plate read, all time-stamped and stored. Rental car records confirming Williams Sr. rented a vehicle that was used by the group. Pooh Shiest's own father rented the car. Lantrell Williams Sr., who is now charged as a co-conspirator, put his name on a HERS rental agreement for the white Buick Enclave the group used to travel from Memphis to Dallas. This is not a secondary detail. This is documented evidence of active pre-planning. His father did not just happen to show up. He allegedly arranged a transportation that got 9 armed people from one state to another to carry out this alleged crime. There was also surveillance footage. The studio had cameras running. A nearby Staples, an office supply store, had cameras. The hotel where several defendants stayed after the robbery had cameras. Surveillance footage from all 3 locations was recovered and analyzed by federal investigators. Every angle, every timestamp, all of it now sitting in a federal case file. Latent fingerprints recovered from inside the crime scene matched at least 2 of the defendants. Somebody touched something inside that studio and left their prints behind. Physical, forensic, inarguable evidence tying specific people to a specific room. Social media posts by defendants displaying what appears to be stolen property just in the days following the offense. They posted the stolen jewelry on social media within hours of leaving that studio on their own verified accounts with their own names attached. Screenshots of those posts are included as exhibits inside the 32-page federal complaint. They photographed themselves with the stolen goods and handed that evidence directly to federal prosecutors. Greyhound bus records confirming the travel of multiple defendants from Dallas to Memphis the day after the offense. They took the Greyhound home. Real, traceable, FedAli subpoenaed Greyhound bus tickets from Dallas back to Memphis the morning after the robbery. Those records are cited in the criminal complaint. This case was built on evidence that the defendants essentially handed the government at every single step. Now, here is where the public conversation starts shifting, because with all of that laid out, people online began asking who told. And in hip-hop, that question always goes in one direction first. The reality is that as one of the primary victims, Gucci Mane personally identified Pooh, his father, and Big 30 by name, by appearance, and through their verified Instagram accounts during the investigation. That is a crime victim cooperating in the investigation of a crime committed against them. That is what you do when someone points an AK at your head and takes your wedding ring. But the streets don't always categorize things through a legal lens. It sounds like Gucci cooperated. It sounds like the victim. Gucci was a victim and gave his testimony. Gucci Mane reportedly addressed the online speculation directly, going on social media and denying any cooperation while making statements that suggested he still had the same energy he has always been known for when people come for him. Anyone who knows Gucci's history knows he does not make statements like that without meaning them. Hey man, sometimes some of you do not deserve money and fame. Lil Woody laid out the tragedy of this whole situation as clearly as anybody. That Young came home, bro, and did NBA Young Boy numbers. He came home, he put out music, it landed. He was in the conversation again. People were genuinely rooting for the comeback. First song he put out, they said he was gonna flop. They went to the top. They said first day out would not do numbers. They were wrong. He had the attention. He had momentum. He had a real lane sitting open right in front of him. He had all the cars, the lifestyle, everything he dreamed of having. But he didn't change your mindset. He had everything. And that last word, mindset, is the one that matters most. Because you can give a man all the money in the world and all the second chances in the world. If the mindset does not change, none of it is safe. None of it is permanent. The boy don't went and did some stupid causing him to go back to jail. The rat papers and the real cost. The morning after the arrests, April 2nd, 2026, while the news was still spreading, while people were still trying to process the fact that Shiesty was in federal custody again, and this time with his own father arrested alongside him, Wack 100 made a move that stopped every conversation dead. He called into DJ Academic's live stream. Over 15,000 people were watching at the time, and Wack said he had been sitting on something for approximately 18 months, holding it, waiting for the moment he felt was right. And now with Pooh Shiesty in federal custody alongside his father, both of them staring down kidnapping charges together, Wack decided the moment had finally arrived. He sent paperwork to Academics on air in real time for 15,000 people to watch. According to Wack, those documents were a federal memorandum of plea agreement dated April 15, 2009. And that document showed he claimed that Lantrell Williams senior mob boss Pooh Shiesty's father had agreed to provide substantial assistance to the federal government in exchange for a reduced sentence under U.S. Sentencing Guidelines 5K 1.1, the Cooperation Clause, the one that in the streets has only one name, who Shy's daddy been a rat since '09 and his son a mice since 2022. Wack said it plain. No file, no satelliti. The father allegedly cooperated with the federal government in 2009 when Pooh Shiesty was 8 or 9 years old. A child growing up in a household where, if Wack's claims are accurate, his own father had a 5K 1.1 cooperation deal attached to his federal case. And then Wack extended the accusation directly to Pooh himself. He alleged that Pooh has been cooperating since 2022, meaning since his federal firearms conspiracy case out of the Southern District of Florida. The case where Pooh pleaded guilty to 1 count, had 3 more serious counts dropped, and received a sentence below what prosecutors initially pushed for. Reportedly pulled up federal case files in real time on the stream and stated that the documents looked legit. Those 2 words, looked legit, sent the clips flying across every platform within hours. Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, everywhere. Everyone had a reaction. Now, here is where we have to slow down and be very clear about what is verified and what is not. Because in a story this loud, those 2 things blur together very fast, and it matters to keep them separate. Wack 100 has made these exact same accusations before multiple times, going back to at least February 2022. This is not new information from Wack. Every single time he has come forward with these claims, Pooh Shiesty's attorney, Bradford Cohen, has responded with a public denial and has not changed his position once. Cohen has called the allegations 100 fake news, idiotic, and a straight mistruth. His position has never moved. Shiesty gave up no one. There was no cooperation agreement, no proffer sessions, no information exchanged with federal prosecutors. The entire defense in the 2021 firearms case was built on the argument that the alleged victims had tried to rob Pooh and his crew first, and that is why the guns came out. The lighter Thanex expected sentence of 63 months came from strong legal arguments and forensic evidence. Not a deal. And in January 2026, just weeks before the Dallas studio incident allegedly happened, Shiesty posted his own court paperwork on Instagram and publicly denied any cooperation with the government. He invoked Omerta, the code of silence. He staked his public reputation on it, and then he allegedly went to Dallas and did what he did. As of April 3, 2026, no mainstream news outlet, not AP, not Rolling Stone, not XXL, has independently verified WAC 100's 2009 paperwork claims. There is a documented 2009 Tennessee state-level case involving Elantrell Williams connected to mob ties records. But that state case contains no mention of any federal cooperation or 5K 1.1 deal. Federal 5K 1.1 documents are frequently sealed and not publicly accessible without official disclosure. So for now, these are allegations explosive, widely shared, impossible to ignore allegations, but unverified allegations. And yet, even setting all of that aside, there is an irony sitting at the absolute center of this entire story that is almost too big to fully describe. Because when Pooh walked out of federal prison in October of 2025 and sat down for his first major interview back with XXL, he talked about Gucci Mane. He talked about what it had meant to watch Gucci come home from his own prison stretch and reinvent himself from the ground up. How Gucci got disciplined, got physically fit, got his mind right, stayed focused, stayed out of trouble, built something sustainable, became an example of what it actually looks like to come out of prison and not go back. The way Gucci came home and they motivated me too because I took notes from there. He said Gucci woke up for real while he was inside truly changed and that it had planted something in Pooh too. That he was going to move differently, that the experience had changed him, that it was going to stick. How he switched it up, how he toned up, got fit, got his mind healthy, took notes in their headways. He sat in that interview and described Gucci as a blueprint, a model for what a man could become when he really commits to doing things differently after prison. Pooh is top 10 bag fumblers in the rap game. Every time this man gets a chance, he fumbles the bag. Within 3 months of that interview, he allegedly walked into a Dallas recording studio, pulled an AK-style pistol, and pointed it at the head of the exact man he said inspired that entire speech. Gucci Mane. The man he said he took notes from. The man whose transformation he said motivated his own. A gun to his face in a recording studio over a contract. You genuinely cannot write something like that. It is too cinematic, too devastating, too perfectly constructed as a tragedy to be anything but real life. Now, let's talk about where things actually stand. Because the case, as of April 3, 2026, is still in its earliest stages. The 32-page criminal complaint was filed March 30th and unsealed April 2nd. No trial date has been set. No pleased. All defendants are presumed innocent. That is the legal standard, and it matters. But the evidence already listed in that complaint is not a thin stack. It is ankle monitor data, cell phone records, license plate readers, a rental car agreement with the father's name on it, surveillance footage from 3 separate locations, fingerprints from inside the studio, social media posts the defendants made themselves with the stolen property, Greyhound bus records showing how they traveled home, and victim identifications made by people who knew the defendants personally by face, by name, and by their verified Instagram accounts. U.S. Attorney Ryan Raybould stated at the April 2nd press conference that each defendant faces a potential sentence of up to life in prison under the federal kidnapping statute. Life and Shiesty's situation is compounded by the fact that he allegedly committed this crime while still under federal supervised release from his prior conviction. An aggravating factor that judges take seriously at sentencing. It adds weight to the guidelines. It signals to the court that a previous prison sentence produced no behavioral change whatsoever. The FBI raid on the family home in Cordova, Tennessee happened at 6 Mile in the morning on April 1, 2026. Agents used flashbangs for entry. They were in and out of that house for hours. They removed computer equipment, brown paper evidence bags. Every vehicle in the garage was searched. Whatever they were looking for, they have it now. It is sitting in a federal evidence room in the Northern District of Texas, waiting for a trial date. And at the center of all of it stands a father and son. Both in custody, both charged, both facing the possibility of spending the rest of their lives in federal prison. The father accused of renting the vehicle, booking the studio, standing in the recording room, and reviewing the papers Gucci Mane was forced to sign at gunpoint. Think about the timeline one more time. Shiesty was released in October 2025. His full supervised release was not even projected to end until April 11, 2026. He was a matter of months away from walking completely free. No ankle monitor, no check-ins, no conditions, no government oversight, just open air and a music career and a fan base that was ready to welcome him back. All he had to do was wait. Instead, he allegedly organized one of the most thoroughly documented kidnappings in recent memory and brought his father with him. Pride and ego is our main enemy. Pooh Shiesty had it all and he gave it away again. Whatever comes next will play out slowly inside a federal courtroom in Dallas. Complex multi-defendant federal cases like this one with 9 defendants, multiple jurisdictions, and this volume of evidence can take a year or more to reach trial. But the direction of this story was written the moment that Ankle Monitor logged his location in that Dallas studio on January 10, 2026. The only question left is how long. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.